Welcome back to the channel. Yes, and my time. Yeah, sorry, so I'm tired. My time is 10 a.m. in the morning, and since I don't have school today, I could do some more videos. And I don't have school for at least 4 days, so so I'm on break, so I expect a bit more spikes of what if videos getting released. So yeah, and you're probably gonna be angry at me for doing this, but we're gonna be continuing what if Naruto was a dragon. The reason why is because I wrote way too much scripts on this. I couldn't, I wrote a bit too much scripts, and since I had my other scripts unprepared, I chose to do this one. And yeah, you understand. You understand. That's the main reason. So expect more of this. This time I have to finish the script of what if Naruto was an Uchiha. Yes, I freaking do scripts. Yeah, I'm not that clueless. Yeah, so that's why you expect more spikes in this, since I have no other scripts prepared. So, let's get down into this what if. Like, subscribe, turn on all notifications. If you didn't, then you won't be receiving this video. Just joking, you'll still get subscription notifications. Yeah, but you do that because you can personally receive all these notifications before anyone even does. Maybe I can shout you out. Yeah, speaking of shoutouts, I will be shouting out someone today, but not in this video because I need to check my comment section. But let's get into this. What if? And now we shall start off this what if. We start off this what if with Naruto's walking off as Kakashi says, "Oh yeah, don't eat breakfast. And don't eat breakfast tomorrow. Come to Turning Ground 7. You might puke." As Kakashi shin swings away. As Naruto then says, "Ha, what a joke. He thinks we're that stupid?" As Sasuke and Sakura look back at him. "What do you mean?" As Naruto says, "It's pretty easy. Kakashi Sensei's trying to trick us to come there with no food. He just wants to see if we could see through deceptions, lies. And since we're shinobi, of course, in the shinobi world, we're gonna have the fish shinobi who lie about everything, and we're gonna have to be able to pass through their deception." As Sasuke then says, "Yeah, that was actually a lame lie." As Sakura's clueless when they're talking about, as Naruto and Sasuke are kind of getting the concept now. As Sasuke just leaves, so does Naruto, as he just shunts away with lightning. As Sasuke, before he starts Naruto, and he's like, "If you can't teach me that weird thing due to it being like some weird Kekigenkai, then how do you do that?" Then Naruto thinks, "Seeing your element is fire. Imagine fire flames roaming around your body. And then imagine the exact place you want to go." As Sasuke, he tries that, as he then feels the exact place where he wants to go. Training ground 44 or training ground 41, known as the forest, not the forest of death, but the forest of agony, because there's a lot of plants and there's a bit of dangerous animals there. And no. Training ground 21. As he disappears in flames, as Sasuke then appears, as Naruto's like, "Huh." As Naruto says, "Huh, prodigy." As Sasuke reappears in flames at Training Ground 21, as he then says, As he then looks around and says, huh, I could finally Shinswin. As he looks up in awe, as Naruto just Shinswin with lightning cackling and pops up as training ground 41. That's really close to training ground 21. Training ground 44, as it's really close to training ground 21. As Naruto enters the gates, as he goes on to his regular training, beating up some animals, and also doing some push-ups, and as he then stops, Naruto's clothes are ripped and tattered. As he goes home and jumps on the bed and he says, the training I've done is brutal, but it's gonna help me tomorrow. As he clings onto his sword. As then he falls asleep. Next morning, Naruto's house. Naruto wakes up and quickly grabs everything in his room and runs straight outside as he has a bowl of ramen in his hands, and he disappears and appears at training ground 7. As he then sits down and he looks that Kakashi's not here. As he sits down and slurps down all his ramen. As everyone looks as Sasuke and Sakura come to see a Naruto finishing up his last bowl of ramen. As then they say, as Sakura says, Naruto, you're not supposed to eat. As Naruto looks at her and says, yeah, you're supposed to eat. As he then walks off, as 3 hours later, we see they see the silhouette of a ninja or a person approaching. As this is Kakashi. As Kakashi says, sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path and I had to take the longer route. As Naruto says, yeah, of course I'll take the longer route. I don't want to get bad luck for my rest of my life. As Kakashi's like, finally someone understands me. Someone understands me. As Naruto's like, yeah. As he then shrugs, Sasuke says the same thing. And Sakura's like, who cares about this black cat of yours? You still had to meet up with your students. As Naruto looks at Kakashi and Naruto looks at Sakura, and Naruto and Sasuke just look pretty annoyed. So does Kakashi, as they're like, as they're in their heads are like, who allowed this? Who allowed her to become a shinobi? Like, she doesn't even know how to train. She's literally weak. Secondly, all she does is complain all day, and she won't stop talking about Sasuke. Like, even Ino could slap her without even breaking a sweat. That's how easy it is. As Naruto regains his composure, try not to go over to Sakura and put ninja tape on her mouth to shut her up because she keeps yelling. As Kakashi then says, well, it's time for your test. As Sasuke then asks, test? We already did the Genin test at the academy. Oh, that test was to see if you're going to be able to qualify for this test. As Naruto says, more tests. Let me guess, this is a field test. As Kakashi says, that's right. As Sakura looks and says, field test? What does that mean? As everyone's sweat drops, as Naruto's sweat drops, he then looks at Sakura and says, a field test is usually to determine teamwork or to determine how the ninja works alone and also how he can fight an enemy. Usually in these team tests, we always fight the sensei. As he then exclaims as Sakura finally gets it, As she says, well, me and my Sasuke-kun are gonna win this, and Naruto's gonna go back to the academy. As Naruto's sweat drops in his head with Kurama. Naruto, I know what you're thinking. Don't kill her or don't cut off her mouth. You're gonna be blamed for murder, assault, and a lot of things. And then you have her mother, her mother, Mega Banshee. I mean, not Mega. Oh, shoot, if I said that, I didn't mean to. Mega Loudmouth. Yelling in your face all day and trying to kill you. Yeah, that's gonna be really annoying. As Naruto thinks of it, as Kakashi pulls out 2 bells and saying, your main objectives are to get these 2 bells from me. As Naruto looks and says, why are there only 2 bells? As Sakura asks, as Naruto says, Kakashi says, easy. Because one of you will be going back to the academy. As Naruto could easily see through this, as he then says, haha, so now I get it. As Kakashi in his head says, wow, he figured it out all on his own, not doing anything. As Sakura says, what do you mean? As Naruto then says, nothing that you should know. As Sakura says, tell me you're my Sasuke-kun. Tell me you're my Sasuke-kun, and we might be willing to help. We might be willing to allow you to become a ninja. As Naruto's like, first of all, you guys are not the Hokage. Secondly, you're pure idiots if you think you could make me do your bidding. And thirdly, I don't care. As he walks off. As Naruto walks off and walks and leans on a log, as Kakashi then starts to explain everything, and he says 1, 2, 3, go. As out of nowhere, everyone rushes into the bushes, as Naruto literally rushes in. As Kakashi, he's reading a book. As Naruto says, how would I get the others on my side? As he disappears and then reappears where Sasuke is, and says, Sasuke. As Sasuke feels pretty scared as he looks back, thinking it's Kakashi trying to attack him, Naruto stops his hand and says, it's me. As Sasuke says, what do you want? As Naruto says, work with me. As Sasuke says, haha, nice try though, I won't work with a nice try. As Naruto says, you have to, because this test is about teamwork. As Sasuke says, no, it's not, it's about combat. Sasuke, have you ever heard of a 2-man squad? Sasuke shakes his head, indicating no. And also, if they're a 3-man squad, they're also a team. Meaning in battles and dire situations, there's always need for teamwork. And if there's no teamwork in a team, then the whole entire team falls apart. Sasuke then smirks, indicating he now gets it. That Kakashi wants us to work together to get the bells away from him. And secondly, they can't do that since they're only Genin and Kakashi's a Jonin, of course. Yeah, so Naruto and Sasuke move and Shinsmin away, Sasuke using fire as Naruto uses lightning. As they appear right beside Sakura, Sasuke taps Sakura's shoulders, Naruto appears distance away. As Sasuke says, Sakura, I need your help. As Sakura looks behind her to see Sasuke, as she says, what do you need help with, Sasuke-kun? As Sakura says, I need your help to defeat Kakashi with me. The whole entire test is about teamwork. We also need to work with Naruto. As Sakura says, what? We don't need him on our team. If we don't, we'll all get sent back to the academy. As Sakura finally nods, but he's gonna be hiding somewhere and probably gonna be getting beat up by Kakashi. As Naruto appears and says, hey. As Sasuke is like, fine, what's your plan then? As Naruto points at Kakashi, he says, Kakashi is reading that book, right? As he then draws a circle and he says, how about while I was reading that book, we set traps all over the place. Yeah, but we have to jump through the opening clearing to get to the other side of the forest. And Kakashi could see us, indicating there's an attack and attack us. And just attack us, literally. And no, we're setting traps. Sakura would help because it's impossible to get her through, as she doesn't know an elemental. She doesn't even know how to Shinsman. Oh wait, as Naruto says, well, I have an idea for that. As he then says, Sakura, you know what we could do? As Sasuke then says, Sakura, I want you to imagine something you will love. Like, imagine a certain item. Don't imagine a person, because that's just going to be weird. Imagine something like a certain item that you love, not a person. As Sakura says, okay, as she imagines flowers, as he then points at the other side of the forest. Now, put chakra around yourself, and then look at that place and imagine it in your head and float there. As she does that, as it's pretty easy, because Naruto was able to develop something for like a substitution, as she pops up at the exact location. As she then gasps, as Sasuke pops up too and closes her mouth not to alert Kakashi. After, Naruto pops up in a poof of lightning, as he comes there too, and he then points at strategic pots that Sakura should put paper tags in. As they nod, as Sakura starts putting paper tags and explosives everywhere, as she starts setting traps, as Naruto and Sasuke are starting to make explosive tags as well. As then Naruto says now, as he teleports instantly in front of Kakashi, and he literally uses his sort of like lightning substitution thing, as he throws a kunai right at Kakashi. As Kakashi dodges this kunai, the kunai starts sizzling like there's fire on it, and it lands on the back of Kakashi. As Kakashi looks back to see an explosive tag, as it explodes right in front of him. Kakashi was forced to jump back, while Sasuke pulls the wire, as Naruto does his lightning thing again, and activates lightning around his body, cackling. Meanwhile, Ino and Kurenai. Ino, Asuma, and Choji and Shino, they finished their test and are walking away. As they meet up with Team 8, as Team 8 walks along with them, as they go back to see what's happening with Team 7, maybe they're done, since all the senses are just chilling, as they're probably going to see kids failing, as then they hear lightning cackling, as they look to see Naruto in his lightning mode, as he pumps lightning into his sword, as he disappears again and cuts Kakashi's blade right in half, as he disappears along with Kakashi, as Kakashi tries to throw kunai, as Naruto kicks him far away and disappears again. As Sasuke then comes into the fray, as he does hand signs as he then says, "Fire style," creates fire dragon jutsu. As a shiny, as a fire dragon pops, as a fire dragon comes out of nowhere from Sasuke's mouth, as he blows it towards Kakashi, making Kakashi have to jump up in the air as kunai, shuriken, and paper bomb tags are thrown at him. As it then explodes as Naruto throws a single shuriken saying, "Shuriken Shadow Jutsu," as it starts multiplying. And then he says, expand explosives. As they do, as then the shurikens start dissolving into paper tags and blowing up everywhere. As all the Jonins all the Jonins look up in shock and amazement and see a burnt up log falling from the ground. As Kakashi appears back with his Jonin vest a bit burnt, as he rushes at the two Genin again. As Naruto and Sasuke nod as they flip over, kick Kakashi in the back, sending him straight to a tree. They kick him up in the air as Naruto says multi-shadow clone jutsu. As Sasuke then does the hand signs as he then says fire style fireball jutsu, blowing fire out of his mouth as he blows it towards Kakashi. As Naruto does a lightning cackling blade, makes lightning cackle everywhere, making the fire turn, making the lightning making Kakashi get cornered. As this was Naruto and Sasuke's plan all along. As then out of nowhere, Kakashi poofs into a log again. As then he says, as then the timer hits up and he says, you didn't really get the bells. As Naruto and Sasuke look, and then after Sakura comes back in using appears in two pedal pieces, as she then says, we kind of did. As you hear two bells ringing, as then you see Naruto holding up two bells, giving it to Sasuke and Sakura, and says, it looks like we won. As Kakashi looks back and sees the bells there, as Naruto says, "Oh, yeah," as he makes them poof. As then Kakashi looks surprisingly as he says, when I did the lightning attack jutsu with my sword, when I sent explosive shuriken, I mixed the shadow clone shuriken in that. I made a shadow clone use that jutsu. As I snuck in through that, grabbed the bells. As when the paper tags wrapped, I set up a dummy shadow clone bells to make you think the bells were still there, but they weren't. As Kakashi's eyes widen, as he then realizes something. He did see a poof of something while the shuriken shadow clone jutsu was happening. As Kakashi then says, "It looks like you beat me." As Naruto then says, chuckling darkly, and says, "You said, Kakashi, whoever failed." That also stands like if you failed to get the bells, that means you owe us a lot. As all the teams who are watching are pretty now surprised as Naruto's true power. He outsmarted Kakashi with just a mere jutsu. Not only that, he also almost smacked the heck out of Kakashi. And Kurenai says, as Kurenai then comes out of the bushes and says, "Kakashi, are you sure that kid is actually a Genin?" As Kakashi then says, as Naruto then looks and sees Ino as he walks up to her and kisses her. Of course they're dating now. Yes, I'm making an Ino and Naruto. You get me? Yeah. Still working on the ships now. As Naruto just walks off. After that, with Ino, as Kakashi then says, "Yep, he's a Genin." Even though he, even though I'm confused, how come he's not the rank of Chunin? Maybe because of the tuning exams. As Kakashi then says, "Okay, guys, you guys can leave. Well, tomorrow we'll go on our first mission." As the Jonin says, he's saying for everyone here. As they leave, as Naruto Shinsun's away in lightning, Sasuke bursts in a bubble of fire, and Sakura bursts in a couple of petals, raw daisy petals, as Naruto just bursts in a couple of lightning with and just bursts in a couple of flower petals. So there's flower petals. Oh yeah, Sakura did rose petals, so tulip petals. As everyone just says, then what is this supposed to do? As Naruto says, imagine something that you love, like, or something like that. Then pinpoint the location you want to go in, and you could do that. As Hinata does the same thing Naruto, as she imagines butterflies as she poofs away, going to the Hugo compound, as Kiba imagines Kiba, I don't know what he imagines, but I think he just imagines. Yeah, I think Kiba will just imagine sand as body starts to crack and sand starts to blow away as Kiba disappears. As Kiba just technically got teleported to his house, as so on. As Shikamaru just bursts into a burst of cats. As Choji just bursts into a burst of butterflies. As Shino just bursts into a burst of bugs. Disappearing and appearing in his house. As Naruto appears, and we skip the next day. As the mission received, we skip 1 month. As we go to the Hokage's office. As Sasuke yells, "I'm tired of these C rank. I'm tired of these D rank missions. It's time for us to get a harder mission. Like, we're already powerful enough to do that." As the Hokage says, as Iruka says, "Well, Sasuke, respect the Hokage." As the Hokage says, "It's up to your Jonin, Sensei." As they all look at Kakashi, as Kakashi nods and says, "My team is more than capable to take a C rank mission. Nothing higher than that." As the Hokage says, "Bring it in." As Shinobi opens the door as Zabuza walks in, as he looks at Team 7 and says, "This is the team you expect to protect me? What kind of weakling brats is..." As soon as he didn't even finish his sentence, Naruto puts his sword at his neck with lightning cackling around it and says, "I wouldn't mind what you say, because if you keep talking like that, you won't even reach the land of ways before. You won't reach your exact destination alive." As as Tazuna gulps, as he then says, "Except for that kid, but the tall kid, he looks," as Sasuke says, "Say one more word," with his one Tomo Sharingan blazing, "I will kill you." As he then says, "But what about the chick? She looks like she's just here for stuff. She's just supposed to be here." As Sakura then just growls. She just growls as Kakashi says, Kakashi sees the tension that's building up and says, he says, "I should probably break this tension." As he then chuckles and says, "Okay, guys, I guess meet me at the gate by tomorrow." As Naruto nods as he disappears to go and do his regular training. As he then pops up at a training field, his regular ones, and starts to train rigorously. he starts to train rigorously. Next day, next day, Kakashi arrives early. As everyone seems to not see Naruto, as Sakura's like, damn that idiot, he's late. As Naruto jumps down from the ceiling and he says, finally everyone has been gathered here. I've been waiting for a long time, like since 10 o'clock. Since there's the 6 o'clock sharp. As then Sakura says, you're late. As Naruto looks at Sakura. As he then says, whatever. As he walks off, as Sakura says, where's your stuff? As Naruto pulls out a scroll and says, in a sealing scroll, of course, in a sealing scroll, dummy. Well, in a sealing scroll, of course. Why would I package all my stuff like that? Let's just slow down a trip. And plus, if we get into a fight, then that'll be way more worse. As Sasuke, he just says, can I borrow one? As Naruto throws one and says, sure. As Sasuke seals his whole entire package and says, yeah, you're right, it's a bit lighter. As Kakashi pulls out a scroll. As he seals it into one, as Sakura's like, hey, what am I supposed to do? As Naruto's like, you can either carry your baggage or seal into a sealing scroll and be able to properly fight while no baggage is on your back to slow you down. As Sakura says no, as Sasuke says, here. As Sakura says thank you, as she puts her stuff in the sealing scroll. So they're all walking through as Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke notice a puddle. As then Sasuke then looks at Kakashi and Naruto and they nod. As they continue walking, as Sakura's confused, as out of nowhere the Demon Brothers show up, as they seemingly kill Kakashi and are heading towards killing Sakura. As Sasuke jumps in the way and puts out his kunai, as Naruto comes from above with lightning cackling around his body, and kicks and hits one of the Demon Brothers in the neck, in the back of the head, and knocks them cold out. As then he then disappears as kicks the second Demon Brother up in the air, as he then kicks him down, as he then runs to hand signs and electrocutes him. As then Naruto ties them up and says, Kakashi, come out. As Kakashi does it, Sakura is relieved that her sensei is not dead. As she says, but how, Kakashi? As Kakashi points to the former place where the Demon Brother supposedly killed and ripped through him, as they see shadowed logs on the floor. As then Naruto then slams them with waters. They awake, as then Naruto says, who hired you? As then the Demon Brother says, I won't tell you. As Naruto has lightning sparking through his hands, as he electrocutes him, and says, as then after he says, if you don't tell me, my friend over here looking at Sakura will have to cut it off. As the Demon Brother says, no, okay, fine. It was a guy named Gato. It was a guy named Gato who hired another person named Zabuza. Who hired another person, I'm not aware, but he says apparently he's a swordsman of some sorts. He hired us to kill that bridge builder. As then Naruto says, that'll be good a lot. As he then pulls out his sword, as he's like, please. As Naruto says, well, you guys are just doing your normal shinobi job. As he then hands him a wallet of money, as he then says, well, that should pay what he didn't pay. As then they bow and say thank you, as they run off, now knowing that they don't have to do a lazy job anymore. As then Naruto says, I guess before we go, as he puts a blade at Tazo's neck, tell us the real deal of this mission. As everyone is surprised, except for Kakashi, as Sasuke asks why. First of all, those two men were the demon brothers. Why would a man named Gato be sent after you? And secondly, the last thing I heard about Gato is that he's a crime mafia boss, known for ravaging and taking over villages and then doing mean stuff. As he then says, as as Naruto points the sword at Tazuna and says, "If you don't tell me, I will kill you." As Tazuna says, "Fine. The truth is, this is actually an S to A rank mission. My village doesn't have the money because Gato's plundering everything. The only thing that can save us is that bridge. So if I was thinking about making a bridge that could connect us to Konoha, having us to have more shinobis, and allowing us to have more vegetables and food, but Gato won't allow us. He wants to kill me because he wants to control the whole entire place without having trade, and he's just a weird bastard." As Naruto then says, "Well, if you just had to tell the truth, then you could have got it." As Kakashi then says, "Well, we have to go back." As Naruto says, "No, I want to kill this Gato guy. He's really terrorizing people's lives for no reason." As Kakashi then sighs and says, "Well, I can't do that." As Sasuke says, "Well, I really want to find out who this missing other assassin is, because I really want to fight him." As Sakura says, "Where I go, well, I'm signing with you guys." As Kakashi sighs and says, "Fine, I guess this mission is not going on hold." As he walks off, as he walks off, as he continues to walk, as he continues to walk, as he then stops, as they continue to walk, as a mist rolls in, as Naruto throws a kunai at a bush, as Sakura says, "What was that for?" As then you see a white rabbit hopping out with a cut leg. Then Sakura says, "Naruto, you almost killed it. How could you? Don't you have any sympathy for life?" As Naruto says, as Sasuke says, Sakura, use your head." Sakura, as Sasuke says, Sakura, look at the rabbit." As he points, as Sakura's like, "Yeah, that's a white rabbit. They only come out at spring. When do white rabbits only come out? They only come out at spring to winter. Yeah, so what do you think one is doing outside here without being hibernating or something like that? Without being here, like they're only supposed to be out by spring. So why is one out here in summer? Like why is one out here in fall?" As then Sakura, in summer, they're usually brown. As Naruto says this is unusual, as Kakashi yells duck, as they all duck, as Naruto pulls Sakura down, as Kakashi tackles Tazuna down, as a ginormous sword launches itself into a tree. As a man pops up, as Kakashi looks up and says, "Zabuza, it's you." As Zabuza says, "I'm so flustered that the copy ninja of the Sharingan knows me." As Kakashi says, "Everyone stay back." As Naruto then gets up and pulls his sword out. As lightning starts to cackle, as he then says, "Stage 20." Oh yeah, the lightning mode that Naruto can go to is only stage 30. And which it doesn't do a lot of damage, but when against the Jonin, it only hurts them a bit. As Naruto then starts having a tremendous amount of lightning cackling. Like, there's lightning cackling in his eyes and all over, as lightning cackles all over his sword. He then says, "Kakashi, I'm participating in this fight too." As Naruto pulls out his sword a bit, as Zabuza jumps down and he starts laughing, as he then says, "Ha, you think that will be happening?" As 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 Kakashi would just then say, huh, that will be happening, as he looks at Naruto and nods, as Naruto then looks at Kakashi. Naruto looks at Kakashi, and Kakashi, knowing what Naruto meant, and he nods as he nods his Naruto moves his head sideways, nudging it like that, pointing at the mist, and Kakashi's eyes widen as Naruto throws kunai, and all Mrs. Zabuza going around him, as Zabuza starts laughing, as there's multiple strings. Naruto then waves two hand signs, lightning style, lightning shockwave, as lightning starts cackling everywhere, as then Naruto says this is the natural habitat of a lightning dragon. Naruto then says, Zabuza Momochi, right? Being a book, one of the 7 deadly ninja swordsmen. As Naruto has lightning cackling towards his eyes, looking like fangs are growing out of his mouth, out of his teeth. As Naruto then says, this is the true habitat of a normal lightning dragon. As Zabuza's eyes widen as he steps back, as Naruto starts cackling even more, as he then rushes tremendous speed. Zabuza tries to block, but it's too late. As Naruto punches Zabuza right back, sending him flying, as Zabuza regains his composure and rushes towards Naruto. But then Kakashi comes in and kicks Zabuza down, as Zabuza then starts looking around, as he then swings his blade around and starts going through hand signs, creating a water clone to handle Naruto, as he then starts to fight Kakashi. As Naruto blitzes, trying to pass the water clone, but the water clone's about to hit him with the sword, as he then says, Stage 29, like Dragon Cloak. As he disappears, blitzing right past the lightning cloak and cutting it in half, as then he appears right in front of Zabuza and kicks him in the face, sending him flying along the river. As Kakashi breaks out of the bubble that Zabuza placed him in. As Naruto then starts going through hand signs, as he then looks at Kakashi, as Kakashi then looks at the ground, then looks at the water, and he's like, oh. As Kakashi nods, as Naruto then whispers and says, copy all my movements, your Sharingan. This is not a jutsu that will correct any harm. You have the right chakra nature for it. As Kakashi and Naruto starts doing hand signs while Zabuza is rushing in the water, then this says lightning style, lightning stream. As a stream of lightning cackles around the river, shocking Zabuza a bit, but he jumps up in the air. As Naruto throws an explosive tag, as then Zabuza lets the kunai pass, as then exploding type are wrapped around the kunai's hilt explodes, clouding Zabuza. That was a smoke bomb. As Zabuza then chuckles, as then Naruto comes out of nowhere with lightning. So does Kakashi, having lightning on a kunai. As then they almost hit Zabuza, but Zabuza disappears and starts waving through hand signs. So does Kakashi. Meanwhile, Naruto then seeing what's about to happen, not knowing the hand signs, jumps up in the air. As then two dragons come and clash, creating a huge water shockwave. As then Zabuza jumps away and starts yelling, and starts doing hand signs saying, water stream. As then Kakashi then does it before him, almost killing Zabuza. But then Haku then comes, and Haku then throws water needles. As Naruto then sees this, as Haku then comes out of there, claiming he's a hunter nin, as he grabs Zabuza and leaves. As Kakashi drops to one knee, as Naruto holds him on one arm and starts saying, as he then starts looking down, as he sees Sakura and Sasuke just chilling there, and they're finished off Zabuza's other clones, mainly Sasuke. As he then smirks, as he then yells, well, you didn't get the better of me, Naruto. You had some help with you. I defeated him alone. as as then as then they start walking towards Tazuma's village, and this is where I'm gonna end it off.